The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
On this edition of Straight Up 5 with Todd McGill, we welcome back for the third time to the show PBA Hall of Famer Danny Wiseman. Hot off the 2026 USBC Masters, we're going to be watching the 2004 ABC Masters, in which Danny Wiseman won, spoiler alert, at Miller Park in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We are also going to have an explosive imbecile of the week. So much hate towards David Boog Kroll, my boy, for winning the 2026 USBC Masters. Many people thinking EJ should have had a double elimination like in years past. We're going to educate some people tonight and throw some shade toward the haters. It's going to be a fun one. Straight Up 5 with Todd McGill starts now.
This is PBA champion Kyle Troop.
Hey y'all, Jacob Ledrup here.
Hey guys, Chuck Ritchie here, formerly of Bowl TV.
Hey guys, this is Ryan Schaefer of track staff at Valley Bowling Center in Waverly, New York.
And you're listening to Straight Up 5.
Yo, the boys from Straight Up 5.
Todd McGill is one of the nicest people I've ever met.
But he doesn't have the best hair in the world. I do. Sorry, bud, but you know the deal. Pick it out. Fear the fro, baby.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Todd McGill. A hard-hitting, cutting-edge look into the world of bowling. This podcast will not only feature bowling, but we'll give you a raw look into real-life issues. We've had the biggest and brightest stars from the past, future, and present on this show, as we strive to bring you the best the sport of bowling has to offer. So without further delay, let's introduce you to the host of your show, Rad Rob Francois, and your featured host, Todd McGill.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Todd McGill. I am your horrible host, Rad Rob Francois.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Apparently I need to cut back on the Popeyes. It's clogging up the pores in my brain. This is episode 189, and if my math is correct, we're 11 or so episodes away from 200. We have a very special guest tonight coming back for the trifecta for the third time. Before we bring in my featured host and our guest, let's pay tribute to our troops with the singing of the Star Spangled Banner. Such a stirring rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. That poor chick. Let's see who's in the chat. We already know Nico Pujar's in here. Thanks for thanks for giving me crap while I was trying to figure. I uploaded the wrong intro, and I'm a perfectionist, and I gotta have the intro. Yeah, that was funny. I found that clip on YouTube today. It's one we hadn't played yet. I should be the imbecile of the week for technical issues. We got my buddy Alex Bermudez in the house. Good evening from behind the drill press in Modesto, California. Been balls deep in balls since Nationals started on March 14th. What's up, bro? Let's get an I do. I do for Nico. Who else is here? Nobody else wants to talk, huh? We got 13 people here. Nobody wants to say it. You know what? That's fine. Let's bring in our featured host. He is the national sales manager of Bolify. He's got a little bit more hair than I do, but not much. That's why I wear a hat. He's my very good friend, Mr. Todd McGill. What up, Todd? I was like, can you see? That's it.
I had cue cards for the rest of the song, but I couldn't get them all written down in time.
How do you forget the words of the song that you're contracted to sing?
Swing and a miss.
Twice. And then tried a third time and fell on her ass. And
which quite possibly was the best part of the whole thing.
Yes, I agree. Sperone, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Anyway, what's up with you, Toddy?
Not much, man. It's been busy. We got, always busy with Bolify, and then the bowling center is end of season, doing a lot of banquets. We we do a big banquet for every league in the bowling center. Steaks grilled out, chicken, and they had one of their banquets tonight. So I was running down there and came back home just in time to jump on the air. Realized I didn't realize I had an extra 20 minutes before I came on the air.
Points for you, sir. Good job. Good job. Jamie Gillis says she had to be Canadian. She may have been. Hey, what's up, guys? Danny the Stadler's here. What's going on? Welcome. All right, let's bring in our featured guest of the night. It's his third time on the show. First time we had him on with JP and Ocho, and we kind of covered all things Danny Wiseman. Second time we watched his win from Erie at the Splitfire. And tonight we're going to watch his win against PA at the 2004 ABC Masters back before the USBC from Miller Park. But let's not waste any more time since we're already 20 minutes into the show. Danny Wiseman, dude, thanks for being patient, man. I'm an idiot.
Well, we know that, but that's okay. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Danny and I talk almost every day, so he can bust my balls. So what's up, man? It's good to see you.
Nothing, man. Just just hanging out here down in Florida, trying to figure this phone out here, trying to get you guys both in this picture, and I don't know how to do it, but I see your chins. At least I don't see your head, Todd.
That's a good thing for you, for sure.
I see the bottom half. I don't know. I'm old, man. I don't know this technology crap.
We know it's the third time, and I thought you had to figure it out this time, but
never. I think if I hit this thing here, it might. Anyway, so let's go on. I can see your faces.
That was the disconnect button, Danny.
That was probably what it was. Yeah. Hold on. Oh, there we go. I got it. I moved it down.
Okay. Good, I would
far away.
I'd like you to see your match that we're going to watch. That way you can call it. But, if you're only able to see the approach. So. Anyway.
I could probably move the screen up.
Todd hasn't had the pleasure of speaking with you yet. So I'm going to let Todd just kind of rattle off whatever he wants to know about DW here.
So are we going to do this first, or are we going to watch some video?
No, let's get into the head of Mr. Wiseman.
Yeah. I just kind of got a few different things written down here, and what made you believe that you could compete at the highest level when you started doing so?
Knowing how to win. I always sit here looking at all my baseball trophies from when I was a kid, and just determination, drive, and passion, and I just wanted to be one of the best, and I worked hard at it, and that's what anybody that's at the top level does in any sport. And I didn't know if I was going to succeed. No one does. And I just went out there and tried to learn everything I could, change to the environments that changed as the game evolved through the years. And that stuff you can see as, from 1990 all the way to the last title with Fig in 2009, and even today, how my game's evolved through the environment. And it's just work ethic and trying to just be the best that I could be. But it's been a fun ride. And now I'm 58 looking back going, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, we're exactly the same age, but I remember watching you on the tour when I was, when we were both younger, and watching the shows on Saturday afternoon, and it was just, I was always in awe. I loved your jerseys. I thought the jerseys you wore on the show were fantastic. And
I'll go back and watch the stuff in 1990 when I had the Lamode on and the big glasses. It was a whole different outfit. That was different.
I'm sure we both have a mutual friend in Brian Himmler, and Brian. Brian lives very close to me, and he still has all the Lamode stuff, and he's got them in his pro shop. And he's like, I don't even know how I wore that crap on the show. He said it was so hot.
It was that. Plus, it was like they also paid you a little bit too. So, it was So,
I mean, did you have a certain point from when you were bowling, when you started bowling, saying, this is fun, and then you realize, wait, this is my career? I mean, did that?
No. It was never fun. I mean, it was fun when you got the big check, which only happened 12 times, but it was work. I mean, it was, people don't understand that, this is 24/7 when you do this for a living. There's no fun in games. There's no, jerking around. I mean, this is, there was times when you bowled bad, and most of the guys in my era would, that like to go out and have a beer or two. You don't bowl bad. You get two things: you either watch and you learn, or you go unwind and have a beer and move on to the next week. And I did both. But a lot of times I was up in the stands watching, trying to figure out, why is this guy doing this? How's he doing that? What do I need to do to figure this out? What's the deal here? And sit there and watch, and from the stands if I bowled bad. There was other times when I bowled bad, when I thought I was bowling good, and I just go watch local bands and stuff like that, and just get away from it, just to clear my head. But most of the time, it was even driving. It was constantly trying to figure out what I need to do to get better, what I need to do to figure out the environment as it changed. Because, I mean, let's look at it from the time I went out in 1990 with urethane, blue hammers, black U-dots, all that, to proactive balls, reactive balls, proactive balls, wood lanes to laminate stuff, to early synthetics, to pro-amble lane, to oils changing. That 20 years I bowled out there changed probably more than any other era.
True.
That now it's just everything's old, so that's why these guys hook it, because there's so much embedded friction in all the synthetics from all the years of all the high friction bowling balls tearing up the oil and tearing up the surface. So the topographies have all changed. That's why everybody's enabled to hook it. But when they were all new and fresh surfaces, it was that was a whole different element than urethane, when the ball hooked early and you had to get the hook to get it to the pocket.
Yeah.
So it was 24/7. It was constantly evolving.
Well, I think that's pretty similar with a lot of folks with any professional type career. I mean, if you take anything seriously, if you throw a bad shot, if you throw a pick as a quarterback, or you strike out as a batter, you got to be able to shut that off and do better the next time, and figure out how to do better. So
exactly.
I nailed it right the way I would think the same way. I mean, my daughter's here with me, and she circled a question that says, I have to ask this first, so I'm going to jump it in there right now. And who was the most intimidating bowler that you've ever faced, and why?
The 10 pins that were down the lane, because I had to figure out how to knock them over. I had no fear of anyone. I mean, the only reason you get the fear and the intimidation is because of their persona or this or that. But you got to remember, we bowled match play all the time back then, 24 games. I bowled multiple Hall of Famers throughout my career, and there was never, I didn't go like, oh my God, I got to bowl, Duke, or I got to bowl Pete, or I got to. Now, early on in my career, it was like, you think, oh my God, these are guys that, Roth and Holman, these are my idols, and I'm bowling them. But then you go, wait, I still got to knock down more pins than they do to win. So I don't care who they are, period. Done. And that's how you build your confidence. You can't look at someone and go, oh my God, I got a bowl. Well, you're done. I'm gonna take your money every time. And that's just the way that the guys at the top level think. They don't care who they're bowling. We're trying to knock down more pins. So that's just that's with any other. You have no fear of anyone, and that's just the way it works.
I think bowling any match play sort of setup, when people get a little hung up on who they're bowling against, or
sure.
Even locally, at any level, even on a small sweeper, they're like, oh my God, I have to bowl so and so, and it's like, no, you're bowling the pins. You got to knock over more pins than them.
And you got to figure the pattern out. You got to figure out what you need to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it still happens. It still happens down here. It's fun. I have fun with it now. It's like I could, I'm 58 years old. Imagine how good I was 25 years ago, and I'm like high average in Ormond at 239 for, I sub 54 games, but I'm like, I bowl maybe twice a week. I'm practicing a little bit more now because I got that senior event coming up, the one senior event in Florida. But it's like, they have to understand I'm a shell of what I was, but I'm still not afraid of anything.
Sure.
So imagine, what it was like when I was bowling, 80 games a week. And any of us in that era, or any of us that did it for a living for a sustained amount of time.
Do you think that some of the bowlers that are out there today understood what it took to succeed in the PBA back in that time?
I don't know. I don't know how much a lot of those guys, because I don't know many of them. I know a few. I've talked to EJ. I saw him, back in January here. And, I know some of the older guys, O'Neill, Rash. They had came out when I was still bowling. EJ, actually, him and Kyle's, one of their early tournaments was at Middletown, Delaware, the big regional they had there in 2000, I think it was 14. And I won that. So, it was like, so I could say I had one up on them then, but I mean, to watch now, I don't know how much you know about the history. I don't know how many of these guys follow the history like I did and many of my, era did. Things move so fast nowadays.
Oh, no.
And it's like, it's on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. And it's changing so fast. I don't know, how much these young guys, when they know Barnes because he bowls. They know Parker because he stayed relevant his entire career. They know Duke. The guys that are, that haven't been out there and stayed in the spotlight. I could walk in the bowl and say, I went to an SYC a couple weeks ago to watch some of the kids in Orlando. I had maybe 4 people and the place was packed, recognize me.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. 20 years ago, I have a flame shirt and walk in there. I'm signing autographs, can't go anywhere.
Right.
It's just times moved on, So, and it happens with all of us.
But I think that's where the history of the game really needs to still come back to some of the younger kids now. They don't. I think some of the younger, even younger, not the young guys on tour right now, but some of the kids that are really trying to take bowling serious at a local level need to understand what the history of bowling was and where they're coming from, what they're doing and where it came from. So, and I think that's a hard thing to teach them. That some of them get it stuck in their head that I don't care what happened 30 years ago. Well, 30 years ago is what shaped what you're doing right now.
Correct.
That's how I think about it. So,
I feel the same way, but it's, the world has evolved so fast and they don't look into that. And it's all in their palm with their phone. They could research anything, of the history, And one of the things that I wish would get done would be to get everything back up on the PBA site from all the, the title winners and the career earnings and all that stuff. It's, the stats. Yeah. I know they're working on it. I've heard that they're working on it, but that was interesting, yeah. And it's like, who knows? But it's up to the PBA to carry on that history from their history because people need to know who Jim Stefanage is and Barry Asher and Jim Godman and, all the guys, Carmen, they need to know who they are. I've got pictures on my wall right here. Holman, Dick Weber, Judy and Dave Sutar, Don Carter, Glenn Allison. I've got all these legends, that have signed autograph because I love the history of it, Yeah.
I'm not in my my man cave, so to speak, downstairs, but I've got all that stuff downstairs and all of that history and anything that goes back. I love looking at that stuff. I just stop and look at it sometimes just because, it reminds me of when I was younger and what bowling was then.
And they shaped the game. They shaped it. I got EJ and Belmo and, the contemporary guys, that I bowled against, on the wall here too, because I know them. I competed against them. And that's, to me, that means a lot. I don't know how many of them do that, but, for me to go up to, let's see, EJ or let's see who's up here, Tommy Jones, Pete Weber. Hey man, can you sign a picture to me because we competed against one another. You're a great friend and competitor, and I respect you, and I want you to sign something to me. That's it's kind of like how the football players give their jerseys to one another. I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of neat.
I was going to say the same thing. It's just like football jerseys. trading jerseys.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what do you think prime Danny Wiseman would average on today's conditions?
I don't know. I'd have to either one, learn how to throw it like EJ, or two, take my thumb out. And if it was my choice in today's environment, I probably would have taken my thumb out. I know people don't like that, but there's evolution, and more revs, more power, more speed, more pin action. Now, until they do something with the pins, flat gutters, whatnot to slow them down, the scores are going to remain high. There's just so much area, so much. The bowling balls. You can say the bowling balls. Bowling balls have been powerful through my entire career. The evolution of that with that environment, I could take one of these old Revolution balls, throw it out on today's, and it would never hook. But back then it hooked, because it was just part of that process. But I don't know. I don't know what I would do out there. I would have to adapt like I always did. Would I go out there now? No. Nope. Would not even attempt to bowl against the kids. Learned that lesson in 2018 at the Tournament Champions when I bowled 12 games. Said, nope, that's it. Done. You just know, it's like I'm not going to be some of these guys that linger. I'm not going to do that. Your time is up. Your time is up. Realize
you look at the 50 tour. I mean, the 50 tour is there's a bunch of big names on the 50 tour now too.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. I started bowling when we moved to Florida. I bowled 4 years ago at the Villages and this and that, and I made the show. First tournament I ever bowled a senior, I made the show. And every time I bowl, I think I've cashed or made the finals of probably every of the senior tournaments that I bowled down here. And they're like, how many are you bowling this year? Well, I'm going to bowl to 3 in Florida. Good. Don't bowl anymore. Because if I bowl, I'm not going to chase it. I did it for 20 years, traveling the world. And it's like, I'm not going to chase around the country, traveling. I hate traveling now. And it's like, that's just me. But I know if I did bowl it, I'd probably be like Janowicz. I would have won. I don't know if I'd be
that guy.
Because he bowls all the time. But if I were bowling all the time, who knows? I can't speculate that because I can only assume that knowing how I am. But now at this stage, I'm not like I was. So I can't say, hey, I would be like, no. I'd probably bowl pretty good out there if I bowl full time because I know my track record and just bowling the couple in Florida the last couple of years.
Well, and your competitive nature will
absolutely
carry you into bowling.
It's not only that, it's also knowledge. Knowledge that I've gained and still studied. I still video, I still video off the TV. And when I see something I want to learn, why are they doing it? How they do it? I still do that. I've got videos on my phone of EJ and Belmo and, even, Ethan Forey, who's got probably one of the best, no thumber games. He's going to be a 4. Yeah. He's stupid good. It's crazy.
Special for sure.
He's really and there's a few of them that are coming up that are just incredible. It's just again the evolution. Who started that? Elmo, and it just evolved. Yeah. And same thing with Roth. It evolved. More power, more speed, more hit. It's just part of the game.
Well, even Mike Miller was the first one on tour to go no thumb, right?
Well, you can even go back to no-handers. You can go back to, what's his name from Texas, back in the 80s. God, I can't think of his name. He bowled regionals. He actually won a regional or two down in Dallas. God, I can't think of his name. He was the first no-thumber. He bowled a little bit. He bowled a couple tour stops. I remember him in the early 90s. Can't think of his name. And anyway, so, but then, Belmo, he changed the world like Roth did. I wanted to hook it when I was a kid, but ended up learning how to do multiple things because we had to do multiple things.
Sure. And you said, if you would take your thumb out of it if it was you. And I was going to say, unless you can throw it like EJ with one hand.
Sure.
Because he's a freak of nature doing what he can do with.
No, he's not. He's evolution. When the hand gets up, his rhythm timing, everything that he does is to the max of what the evolution of this game has evolved to, and he does it the best. Yeah. It's just period. He's in perfect position, leveraging his legs, leveraging his positions, his tilt, his spine tilt, his swing playing, everything to allow him to scoop that ball, get his elbow up on it, and unload it like no one else.
Yeah.
You know, he is in essence a no thumber with a thumb in because he does the same thing to a degree.
And he's not a big guy in any sense of the word.
And that goes to show you don't have to be a big guy to create 500 plus RPMs. It's where everything's leveraged at, and that's him. You know, I mean, that's just I mean, he's insane, and he's a humble, really great person. You know, to really, I mean, I hadn't seen him in years, and we hadn't seen each other, but like we just saw each other the week before, and we just talked about all kind of stuff. I congratulate him, obviously. I mean, it's just insane because I'm a fan now. It's like, he's just a really good kid.
Yeah, I've met him several times and been to his center, and he's come to my center and bowled a couple tournaments, and he is as laid back as they come.
Yep.
And then he puts his shoes on and just watch him go. It's
annihilation.
Yep. Fun to watch. Do you think there's any of the players that are out there today that would not have been able to cut it back in I'll just say in our day?
Depends on if they wanted to evolve backwards into that environment to be able to create what we created to be able to make a living at it. I mean, it was different. I mean, we had guys that hooked it. They hooked it differently. You go back to the early '90s. You had Bob Vespi bent his elbow, cupped it, and he didn't throw it hard. He revved the hell out of it.
Did everything wrong, and still did it right.
Well, he didn't really do it wrong. He did it like no one else did it, and it's no different than the two-hander or what Mike Miller did later on. So they tried to create more revs. I mean, back in the 80s, you had, guys like John Gann on the left side. You had, guys that there was a guy named Steve Martin. If you watch him, he got his hand to the inside, bent his elbow, and flipped it off. He had very little tilt, and he had a ton of rotation. Webb did the same thing, So there was always guys that had something a little different, of course, then you got Roth and Holman who just, outsmarted and outbowled everybody. And then, of course, Earl on the left side. But, these guys now, I mean, the smart ones would adapt just like we would in my environment or my era, adapt to what's today, So then there's other ones that just would fade, you just wouldn't figure it out.
Well, then you got guys like Jacob Buttroff, who has the most unique style now. He had to do something to create more revs as a one-hander, and he got his own stick.
Yeah, and he's different, just like Vespi was. They do basically the same thing, except he's just a lot faster and does. I mean, in essence, the same deal.
Yeah,
there was you could go back even to the late '90s to the early 2000s. Unfortunately, he passed away, but go watch Jimmy Keith. I mean, oh my God, and then Kelly Kaufman. Yep. Another one. But the environment wasn't quite right for them then, as it is now. A lot of guys throughout the entire sport, there's been guys that come and go and they fall into it. You hear about them for a couple of years and then poof, they're gone. Why? They didn't adapt. Something changed. Something changed somewhere, and then you got guys like Duke and Parker, Doug Kent and Ryan Schaefer, guys that they just evolved with it, and they just,
Doug Kent was a player for sure.
Oh, yeah, he could do anything with a bowling ball. It's like Norm could, and I mean, I thought I was pretty versatile. I could do a lot of things, but I a lot of times probably outsmarted myself. Voss another. He could do anything with a bowling ball. There's so many guys were so versatile. You don't really see that a whole lot today. No. You don't see two-handers, taking revs away. I mean, I know Simonson can do it. You'll see him jump on the left side of the lane, throw backup balls because the surfaces are much better over there. Yeah. And, there's the topography is better on the left. And God bless them. They can do that. That's adapting to it. Why not? If you can do it, do it. You get an object, knock 10 pins down. Don't matter how.
Yep. You're still trying to knock over 10 pins. Yep. Knock over more pins.
I know Belmo is also one of the few two-handers that will speed it up, slow down, take some.
Oh yeah. He's incredible with touch, and that's he's probably obviously the best versatile two-hander. That's he could do anything. He's smart, very smart player. He wasn't afraid to do anything. To not do anything, he could do anything he wanted. But there's some that I mean, I'm not out there, so I don't see it day in and day out. I don't know who can do what. anymore. I only see what I see on TV and a little bit on bowl TV when I watch it and whatnot. But it's again, if they want to survive for years, they have to evolve.
Oh, what I see, Danny, is just them picking up a different ball. 85% of the field, instead of moving or even adjusting, they'll just grab a different ball for a different look.
And they'll do it in the weirdest point too. It'll be like the ninth frame. I'm going to ball change. I'm down, but I'm going to ball change because I know I'm going to strike. It's a different perspective. We would tweak things and do things because we were close, and then on a fill ball, make a ball change, try something, look for something different. And if it worked, then you go another pair for the next match or in qualifying. What do? I always started what I finished with when I was close. If I wasn't close, I'd just try something different, and then I would see what the next pair does, and then I would make figure out, okay, do I need a ball change? Do I need to take my hand out and hit it? I'd actually look at the leaderboard and see who was up there because I knew their tendencies. I studied that. And it's like, if I saw Norm up there and I looked down 15 lanes and I saw him crouched over with his hand up underneath of it, I know he was hooking the hell out of it. Same thing with Barnes. They had tendencies, and I could tell. If you saw a guy like Dave Traber, the gutter's hooking, because he was the best at that. So there were certain things that you looked at, and then, okay, what do I need to do to get to it? Boom, there comes all the practice and all the time spent doing and learning it. So
that's smart. That's like
it's an art.
That's like a catcher watching video and learning who he's got to face and what game to call with his pitcher, or a quarterback watching tape on the defense. Like it's smart. You got to know. You got to know your opponents, and that's. And I don't even think people do that anymore, Danny. Honestly,
I don't know. I mean, we had. You didn't get into the ball rep thing. That's just the evolution of it. Do I agree with it? Probably not so much. I like to do things me personally on my own. Learn from your mistakes. Did it cost me? Possibly. Did it? No, I don't know. But our ball reps. When I was with Revolution, Hammer. They couldn't help us during the qualifier or anything. So they would watch it, and we get done. We'd say, well, I want to drill a ball or two. I want to do this, that. And we come together. Most of the time I did it on my own, and it's like, if I failed, I learned from it. Why didn't that work? What happened? What do I need to do? What surface? What this, that, and then, go bowl. The ball reps came into play in the mid 2000s as I was getting older, and I was pissed at it because now I'm losing, I might lose 2 or 3 frames going to a pair where they've already told the guy on their staff that pair's hooking, you better move 10.
Yeah.
Why? I'm moving. Okay, I go high. I move 3. I go high again. I'm losing 2, 3 frames, but this guy already knew. So I'm on my own dime. That kind of started getting to me a little bit, So, I mean, but what could I do? They changed the rule, and I wasn't on staff. I was getting older. Luckily I kind of made it through there, and, but, it was a fight them last couple of years. Yeah. Just dealing with that. It was mentally, knowing that, all the years that I've learned from it. Now it's like, not only do I got to beat a younger guy, I got to beat the ball rep who's sitting back there watching, even myself, what's going on, and then telling their guys.
Yeah.
Now it's all the time. So is it an advantage or disadvantage? I don't know. Do the players learn from it? What players do it on their own? How did I don't know. I'm not out there, so I see this stuff on TV. I disagree with that. Ball. Yeah. Stop looking over and looking for a scapegoat. Fail or succeed. Figure out what's in front of you and ball. That's my opinion. You're the one making the shot.
And you got guys that are turning themselves into having pretty nice careers now as a ball rep, which it just wasn't the thing back then.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it was. You had some brains that back in the day of Ray Edwards, and there's Billy Hall, my coach, who's still my coach when he was with Hammer and then Champions and all that stuff. You had those guys back there watching, but they never could help during. While we were bowling, they could then talk to the players after, figure out a game plan, and the player would go execute it. If it worked, it worked. If it didn't, the player's fault. You made the shots, you threw the ball, you made the decisions. No one helps you. And it's just, I guess it made us tougher, I guess. I don't know. I mean, again, it's a different world. I don't know what the mindset of these guys are. I mean, I'm sure that Belmo probably for the most part makes his decisions. I'm sure, I could say Simonson, but he's a different he's a different dude there. I mean, who knows? But like on TV, I'm sure EJ consoles in Brett, but I'm sure he's still making his decisions, good or bad. He's made a couple bad ones I thought on TV. But again, what happened during the week that made him see what he saw on TV that he thought would work, that it might have worked during the week that we know nothing about?
Yeah.
He made that decision. It didn't look right. Well, maybe during the week it did, and we don't know that. So it's ultimately that player's, their the way that they're thinking that they're going to hit the lane. So, I mean, that's just, it's just different now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're talking about a lot of different. I'm one more thing, and I'll let Rob jump in here.
Rob's been pretty quiet. He's probably digesting that food there, that Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever the hell you ate.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
There that Popeyes, the biscuits and gravy. Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that before, Rob.
I know.
I mean, was there something different back about the PBA that tour fans really don't see behind the scenes? Was anything different back in the day than what it is today? I mean, there's a lot of players that are out in front of the fans now.
Social media.
There. Okay.
I mean, we didn't have that. I had a website. I actually just closed my website down because I feel like I'm not relevant. I had that website since 2002. I had all kinds of stuff on there, and it's like, who goes to websites anymore? What do? You go to Facebook, or you go to Instagram, or da-da-da. I mean, we had MySpace. Yay. It works so well, I mean. And that's why people are out in front, because they can make money doing this, sure. Through hits and all that stuff. And that's good for them. They need to supplement their income, because there's only, 15, 20 guys that are getting by, if that, where back in the day, there was 50 or 60 guys getting back in my era. I mean, it's, they got 16 tournaments. We had 36. So, I mean, we bowled, 80 games a week. I don't know what they're bowling now. It ain't that. I mean, the U.S. Open, I think, was. Masters was, depending on where you won or lost that.
Games, right.
We bowled a ton of games, and it's like, but these guys need to stay out in front of the public, and thank God for this, that they can do that and make some extra money. Well,
I mean, we even talked to Pete a few weeks ago, where he's actually jumped out in front of social media a little bit, and doing a good job doing it too. He just
I looked at I did it a different way. I just invested everything. So I don't have the time. I mean, you'll very rarely see me post on Facebook. I mean, we just did because, my mom was 10 years on Sunday since I lost her, and then we lost one of our precious cats, 2 weeks ago, actually today. And, we did, and again, people do that stuff. But as far as like professionals, I've got a fan page. I don't really post much on there. It's like I got 9,000 people. I don't know how many followers there are, but I'm not relevant. The world has gone, and it's like I try to just kind of stay out there, but I don't need the money either. I don't need to spend the time to do all that stuff to generate hits and this and that. And kid around here, Nate Garcia, great player, young player.
Yeah.
Him and his wife have, they're awesome what they do on that. There's a couple other ones that do that. They're always, and it's good for them. That's their business.
Yeah.
My business back in the day my business was bowling. If I bowled well, I got paid and I invested. That master's check went right to my financial guy. I never even saw it. It's boom, invested. So I've done okay that way, So, and today, if I was out there, if I was young, I'd be doing what they're doing. Hell yeah.
Sure.
I have to. There's nothing guaranteed in that. There's nothing guaranteed in bowling on the Pro Bowler Tour. Ever.
No, that's for sure. And I mean, you can see that it can change networks in a moment's notice, and who knows? I mean, they were worried about even having a tour until you picked it up. So
I mean, thank God for that. I mean, it has to be out there.
Yeah,
Speaking
So
of Nate, Nate had a great run at the Masters.
Yeah, he go great. I was texting him, and here and there, afterwards. And actually, we were trying to figure out a timeline to bowl the Florida State tournament, and then I read the rules, and no PBA members can bowl together, so that was out.
Yeah,
we bowled a couple tournaments around here and mowed them over, up in our senior and kids, and we've done okay. He's a good kid.
He's a very good kid. And I'm blessed to be a good friend of his and Elise, and they've built their channel up very well, and same with the house bowling with Packy, and Chang has done it, Belmo's dabbled in it,
Brad and Kyle. I
mean, when you're not making the shows or you're grinding PTQs, if you're not bowling regionals, you got to do something, right, to supplement your income.
Exactly. They have to do what they got to do
to get on that. So, all right. I got a couple comments here real quick before I get into the match. Philip Mark says, Danny, your mom gave me an autograph when you guys were at Carolier. Your mom said it was her first autograph. So,
who's that?
Philip
Marks. Get out of here. That's really sweet to hear. I appreciate that. Tell him to take a picture of it and send it to me.
Sure.
On Facebook Messenger. I mean, I'm sure he probably hears me, but that's pretty cool. Would that have been the year that I guess probably the Johnny Petraglia right behind me there, that right there, 2002 or 2001 might have been that year. Because she was there multiple times when I was up there. I made a few shows at Carolier, but that's really nice to hear. That's great.
I'll make sure we get that to you. Buffalo Buddy Lee says, good evening, Rob, Todd, and Mr. Wiseman. Danny, I'll see you at the Villages.
Oh, boy. Oh, Buddy Lee. Yeah. All right. I'll be there. My one and only senior event. So I'm going to snap this one off and go, I'm done. I got to win something here. I'm running out of time. I got titles in 5 decades. I haven't won in the 2020s yet.
It's time.
I know. 80s, 90s, all the way up till now. And time. That's the thing.
And my buddy Jeff Skyer says, bring your ass down to the Villages. I have a room Wednesday and Thursday. I'm trying to get a job, man. I don't have any money. I can't afford to fly or drive down to Florida for a regional. Come on, guys. Jeez.
It's not a regional. It's a national for the PBA.
I still don't. I mean, I still don't.
Hey, I stay with my aunt and uncle. My mom's brother, actually. Stay at their house.
That's funny.
I still have some friends down that way. I used to live in Orlando, so
yeah.
Really?
No, it's only an hour.
Yeah,
that's an hour from me. We're in Norman.
What the hell were you doing in Orlando, Tom?
I went down there for a job, and here I am back in Cincinnati, where I belong. So
at least it wasn't a girl; it was a job.
No, not at all.
All right. Let me load up the video, and we'll get started on this 2004 Masters. Give me 1 second.
All right.
Video.
Hopefully you're not running the whole daggone thing and you're just skipping through it.
They are playing for that trophy along with a $100,000 first place prize, the 2-year PBA Tour exemption.
What happened to PA, by the way? You don't see him anymore.
About with Danny.
Uh-oh.
To sit and wait. Warming up.
Yeah. How good was he, though?
Patrick was a thinker. He was. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know. It kind of got wonky there. No, Patrick could bowl. I mean, he could play anywhere on the lane. He was like a. You look at the best lefties ever. He's one of them, obviously. Parker and Jason. They could play anywhere. And they could do anything with a bowling ball. They could throw it hard, straight, hook it, do whatever it took.
To take care of Pat Healy Jr. right.
What happened to Patrick, Danny? You don't see him anymore.
I have no idea. Don't know. Do not know. I mean, I'm sure. I think he had. He was in Florida for a while before we moved down here, and then I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. But he could bowl.
How cool was the crowd there in that stadium?
Start for Patrick Allen.
What?
How cool was that crowd being there in the stadium?
Oh my God, that was 5,000 people or something. I mean, the stadium held like 45,000, but the way they had it blocked off, it was neat. It was also cold in there. People don't realize it was 53 or 55 degrees there because of the grass.
Never done before.
They wanted to keep the. They said, "Don't walk on the grass." I'm like, "What? Okay."
In the final and in style.
What ball were you throwing there, Danny?
That was a Ravage. Mo Rich Ravage. Pin under the ring finger. And the mass bias was 2.5 on the VAL with a hole on my axis.
Not allowed to do that anymore, sir.
Basically to get it going forward, but get it through the fronts with the bigger angle. And that was something I laid out. Mo had set up, God bless him, he set up a couple balls and I set up a couple and, used them during the week. I wasn't on staff or nothing, just, that had that Power Cool 18 on it, which that cover was phenomenal.
Apparently, Danny or Patrick has had knee issues, so I guess that's what keeps
really?
That would do it.
Yeah, well, I think when you bowl as many games as we did, you get knee issues. My knee, I wear a wrap on it and a patella brace.
The injuries, one reason Danny wanted to get going with physical fitness this year. Saw the big numbers.
He didn't get far enough right. I don't know what happened there.
He's throwing a teal Rhino Pro? It kind of looks like that.
No, that was a Hammer. He was on Hammer staff.
Hammer, okay. Gotcha.
I don't know what it was offhand.
Obviously,
he was with Hammer for a little bit.
Okay.
Break down ever so slightly. He needs to make a major league adjustment right here and now.
Trying to kick the 4-7.
Now, at this point, are you thinking, all right,
Nope. I ain't watching.
In your head what you need to win?
Nope, ain't watching.
That could prove to be disastrous.
Didn't know.
Interesting.
However,
Didn't care.
Didn't care. Like you said before, you're bowling the pins.
One shot at a time, and I went through it, and come near the end, if I would have made a little bit of a move off of the frame before, which barely got the flat 10 out, I didn't move because I know the score and I know it was hitting the pocket. I figured, well, if I leave a 10 pin, I can make that. If I leave a big 4, he might have a chance, but I didn't know what he was doing.
Right.
I could hear it, but, it's the focus back then. With us was different. I watched the shows today, and some of the guys, they're looking all over the place, and this and that. I don't know. It's just different. It's different.
When your opponent is perfect through 2 frames.
But they,
Was it to go to Miller Park? That's a weird location.
Figure out a way to get.
Well, it's not Miller Park now. It's something else, but it's the same stadium.
Yeah. Whose idea was it to go there? I know you guys were doing, arenas and stuff like that, but that's just an odd location to book.
This was the first year they did it. Then they skipped a year, and then Rash won in it in wait a minute. They did it 2 years in a row. 04, 05, skipped 6. Scroggins won, I think, 6. 06, 07, Rash won. And it was in the stadium. I think they had it 3 times in the stadium.
So many frames under his belt.
Who owned the PBA this time, Danny? Was that the Microsoft period? Do you remember?
This is 2004.
Yeah.
I think they still own it. Yeah, I think so. You're gonna watch this whole thing. You're gonna skip through it. What's up?
You watch yourself bowl? Come on, man.
No.
But right now, I love what he's doing. He's keeping his.
Got to say that mower's awfully good.
Well, here's the thing. Listen to Randy back then. I was on one of the early shows with Randy and Rob back in 01. And, you listen to them there, and, Rob became kind of a joke with some of the stuff that he came up with. Nice guy. But you go back and you listen to some of the shows, they were very technical, very professional, very, and Randy was too. And it's just, Randy's going to play along with whoever his partner is, and I get that. But you listen to how it was just different back then. That's Dave Ryan, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And Randy was very, very good back then. And the chemistry with him and Rob was really, really good, but they had a lot of inside jokes later on in the year.
Yeah, that started getting a little old, in my opinion. That Hambone crap and all that bull crap. Just keep it professional. help us advance the sport, not tear it down, in my opinion. And trying to have fun with it. Well,
Belmo had nice things to say about Rob Stone because Rob, obviously was the one that got him on Fox, but Rob really did care about the sport, and he did do as much as he could to try to get bowling over.
Oh, I know that, but he also, if you watch him on a soccer show, completely different.
Yeah. No, you're right.
4-7.
Patrick hasn't hit the pocket yet.
Yeah, he lost that right lane. I don't think he got deep enough.
We'll say it looks like he never got far enough to the right on any of the shots in the right lane.
No, looked like it started barking on him a little bit, and which is weird because I don't know if he could move right and open up more. I don't know. See, I can watch it now and go, I can speculate, but I had no idea what the hell was going on. I know he wasn't striking, but I wasn't paying attention. Like, my mindset was he's staying up with me, and I got to see where I'm at. I'm looking down.
Your head's down.
Don't care.
Yep. Brand manager Miller High Life. Title sponsor.
No, Kelly Wow.
The ABC Masters.
Not happening.
Our first event of the season.
At any point in this match, are you thinking 300, or you're just throwing
Nope.
your shot?
Nope. That's what I said. I said if I would have moved 2 left after I saw that flat 10 kind of get squirrely, that fell, and who knows, I might have. Yeah. And I flat 10. I wasn't thinking that. That's bad too. Now he's thinking he got out of whack. He got physically out of whack because he's lost that right lane. Probably thinking about that right lane and just
yeah, he totally
very uncharacteristic.
Yep.
Very uncharacteristic for him to do that.
You can see that's about 3 boards right of target.
At this point in his mind, he's probably thinking, geez, I'm out of wood already.
Maybe he's pressing. I don't know what's going through his mind. Have him on the show and ask him. I'm sure he does not want to watch this. This is about like when I'm forced to watch that 2009 Masters show when I had front 3 spare double and lost to John Nolan. Oops, I don't want to watch that.
Cheer for himself. Danny Wiseman
leads by 50 pins. You don't see that.
No idea.
That
no
early in the
idea.
match. No.
Hey, what's funny is I don't think I've ever drilled another ball like that. Pin down, which is bigger angles back then. But you got to remember the intermediate differentials weren't ginormous on these balls. That might have been like an 0.14 or something. So the mass bias really wasn't, dominant. That was left.
Thank you.
Left.
I've got a mower's ball downstairs in my man cave that's undrilled that I found at the one center I worked at.
What is it?
I'm not sure. It's a mower's ball, but I'm not sure which one. It's undrilled in my basement. I'll have to let you know which one it is.
Yeah, message me. That'd be interesting. If it's 15-pound, it's a Ravage. That's good. And if you ever come across a 15-pound Danny Wiseman Rebel signature ball, I got 2 16s. I sent one to. That was terrible. I'm playing it off, but I know that was crap. That should never carry. Got to move. There's a 15-pounder somewhere out there, and I sent one of my 16s to the museum with JC, and I got 2 undrilled ones, but I want a 15-pounder so I can throw it in the league. And it'll probably go 80 feet. I made shows in Japan with it.
Yeah.
And it's like it rolled great, but I can't find one.
There's not much Patrick Allen can do right now, Randy.
I'll let you know what it is as soon as I get a.
Yeah, let me know.
I'll get a picture and send it to you.
Danny, back you looked a lot like Jason Newsted from Metallica.
Who won me? No.
Yeah. You guys had a similar look.
Yeah, it was more like Hugh Jackman of the Wolverine. That's what I used to get. I used to get that. Is there no comments? No comments going on here?
None. 0. We're sleeping.
Yeah. Or is it? Oh, wait! It's after 9 o'clock. Hold on.
Milwaukee's a Hall of Famer.
Oh my God!
Close past our bedtimes, isn't it?
No, I go to bed at 1 o'clock. I get up at 9. I'm retired.
Yeah.
Cooperstown.
Danny's a night owl.
I watch racing and stuff. That's good.
Gets a break, 7-pin trip late.
First strike of the match. I mean, at this point, he's got to have fun with it, right? Because he knows
it's the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's so hard.
It's the hardest thing in the world.
Like he moved a little bit further to the left. Nice.
Took his hand out of it or something.
Off his hand and the little love tap on the 7-pin. And PA has to chalk this up to experience. I mean, you get in the middle of a title match, you lose your reaction. You've got to pull out all the stops and try to figure out a way to get back.
31 career PBA 300 games at that point.
At that point, I think it ended up being 43 because I just shot one at the local county USBC tournament, and then I shot one before we went on the cruise in league, and I think I'm at 79 now total.
Wow.
That's cool.
But it was 5 years. 5 years before I shot one back in October.
300 games.
5 or 6 years because it was at a regional. I had gone that long because just wasn't bowling a lot and everything. And then I shot 3 in like 3 months.
Were you nervous all over again?
What's that?
Were you nervous all over again after a 5-year break?
I mean, I've had the front 9, 10, 11 at the senior thing last year. I had the front 10 or something. And no, not really. I just... 5 years ago, man, I need to shoot 300. I'm trying to get to 100 at least, just to have 100.
Right.
I'm going on now this, on this China walls here. It's like rope it up 10, and if they carry, they carry.
That's right.
Yeah.
I know it's hindsight, but if you didn't hurt your wrist, Danny, I mean, how much longer do you think you would have stayed on tour?
Well, I didn't hurt my wrist back then. I did. I did something to the top of my hand. That's why I have that thing to keep my fingers, because I used to spread my fingers way out, and it put pressure through my thumb, and that was what was bothering me, and that's why I did that. I hurt my wrist in the end of 14, going into 15, where I ripped a tendon off through here. Now, I wasn't bowling on tour then. I was just bowling local stuff around Baltimore, so that had nothing to do with it. That was just something that somehow or another, I was locked. I mean, my thumbs used to be mega tight.
Yeah.
So I just, from spreading my hand, the more you spread your index finger, the more it locks you in the thumb, and we had our thumbs tight back then, so we didn't squeeze them.
Gotcha.
And something let go in the back of my hand, and it just, I had to work with my grip and everything else. This was actually a little bit of a different grip than what I had been using for years. That was the other thing, too.
A good one. Whatever it was good.
Well, I mean, I'm actually pretty close to that now. My hands kind of got shrunk, but I mean, it was with the grips. There was a regular thumb hole, no slug, no nothing in that. They didn't have hits right then. But it was, that's a 10-pin. You saw the shot before in the 8th frame, you would see why I should have moved. But yeah, that was 4-9, 4-9. I think it was an eighth reverse.
He's going to let go of this one and get it a pinch right. Look at that little spin release. Look at it.
I think it was a half left in the middle finger, quarter right in the ring, and a quarter way in both. And I'm 4 and 7, 4.5 now, but I'm shorter and I'm a lot more away in the fingers. I'm like a half and 5/8 away. And I was an 8th forward in the thumb, but I backed that back off because my surgery spot was starting to bother me.
Right.
So I'm actually back to an 8th reverse, believe it or not. So,
if I go back home,
but I could still throw this ball. It still fits.
I can start working out again with my personal
I assume you have the ball still, right? You keep all your winning balls?
It's in the living room in a case underneath of that trophy, and
he is here. He is
with my first trophy, first title.
Nice. First major. First and only major.
See, I never moved. I should have moved.
Well, I mean, at that point,
yeah, it doesn't matter.
You knew you won.
I mean, you're thinking, 300, but it's like, hey, you got the front 9, or front 8. How about move left here or something? That's the old black diamond. I still got that. See that black diamond? Hold on.
Nice.
Where's the diamond? There's that same ball. Is it? That's the same one.
That's
That
awesome.
was right there. My 15-pound black diamond. Still use it.
Well, unfortunately, that wasn't more of a competitive match, but I mean, I just thought
I know.
The stadium thing was cool, and for the people that haven't seen it yet, I just wanted to throw it out there. But
that was phenomenal. I mean, how they did that and all that. And you can, if you ever talk to, Sean bowled in it too, and I don't know if Scroggins bowled in it. I don't know who won it. I thought they had it 3 times in the stadium, but I know Rash won it in there, and it's just a whole, whole different element. It's really neat. I don't know what that cost them, but Jesus, I mean, it was really good for us.
Yeah, it really was. All right, let's move to our final segment. It's time for the imbecile of the week.
It's time for everybody's favorite segment.
If you guys don't know how to use a seatbelt, just ring your call button and Tommy will come back there and hit you on the head with a tack hammer.
Lloyd, just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
Here's the imbecile of the week.
Some people are really stupid.
So the talk of the town after the USBC Masters, buddy Boog won.
Oh boy.
There's a lot of EJ Tackett fans that were very unhappy that he didn't get to bowl again because in 2023 and 2025 they had double elimination and people just thought that was the norm. And people, Danny, as you know, I mean, you don't have to agree with me or not. A lot of people are ignorant and they don't do their homework, and they just like.
I think it's just uninformed. Uninformed is a better word. Not knowing the backside of what's going on with TV contracts and how they have that all set up and whatnot, and but
it was posted. Is literally posted on their website before the tournament started. So for those that didn't go back and even check on it, I mean, that's the way it is today, right?
Yeah, exactly. They only see what they see what's in front of them, not understanding it. But, here you can go back in time. I believe it was Larry Lichstein put something up, 1980, Neil Burton beat, forgot who it was, and he won the Masters, and it was a double elimination. It had always been double elimination throughout the time.
Yeah.
But they changed it. When they got on TV, it became a standard top 5 format.
Right.
And it had been like that forever. And, you could go back. Barnes lost 3 of them. I read that somewhere. There's been other guys that have led and lost. And, and I'll say this. Let's say PA shoots 260 at me and I have 180. I was undefeated.
Yeah.
I went through the whole thing. We knew going in. It's a one-game match. You lose, you finish second in that stepladder. Yeah, we both have 1 loss. Should we bowl another game? Well, if you go through the format, yes, it would make sense. But for TV time and constraints that way and whatever that contract was set up, that's the way it is. You deal with it. Does it suck? Yeah, it's just like if I would have beat John Nolan. He was undefeated. I would have won that tournament in 2009.
Sure.
But yet he was undefeated. So, I've seen it both ways. And it's like, when they changed it and made it to where, when Gary lost and then he won, he won. Realistically, yes, it's double elimination to the entire thing. But then you have to understand TV. That's a whole different element there. There's a lot of probably cash involved in how they set things up and what they want and what they want to see. We don't know that. We don't know. Only the higher ups know what that deal's about. But we accept what's in front of us, right or wrong when it comes to that, that situation.
In 2023 and 2025, Fox had allowed for 4 hours extra time. They covered the whole weekend. Right. That was their call. And they didn't do it in 24. They did it in 23 and 25. But it is what it is. The fact that it was posted before the tournament, the bowler should have known that. But Natalie Tackett, that's Doug. I'm trying to find the comment from her. Let's see. I had these out of order. Natalie said EJ did not know prior to the start of the tournament. Apparently, he didn't know until he was bowling match play.
That's interesting.
But it was posted. It was posted on the USB website. that the stepladder, if televised, would be single elimination. So I guess there's been years where it wasn't on TV. There's even some years where the PBA never even recognized it as a major.
Sure. And I tell you what, back in the 90s, I didn't bowl the Masters all the time because, I didn't like the format. I didn't like all that. And it wasn't, it was the normal tournament back then, 30, 50,000, whatever. And it's like, I just, there were some years I didn't bowl it, and it was dumb why I didn't, but I didn't. But, it was always my entire career, you lead, you could lose, and you're done. You finish second. Hey, congratulations, you're a Masters champion, move on next week. So, it sucks, but, that's the only tournament that's like that we bowl. So.
What I'm curious is how could a guy like EJ not know the rules going in? I mean, it's your business. You're essentially an independent contractor.
That's something you'd have to ask him. I couldn't answer that for him. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. There's probably, again, the guy's probably got a million things going on. He's the best player on the planet. He's probably being pulled in a million different directions. He gets on a lane, his focus is bowling. That's my only assumption to it. Other than that, you'd have to ask him. I don't know. I really don't. Couldn't tell you.
Todd, what do you think about the whole situation?
I mean, if you're, and you're probably right, Danny, he's probably pulled in 1,000 different directions. But my feeling is if you're stepping on the lanes in one of the big USBC or PBA prestigious tournaments of the year, you probably should know what's happening and what the rules are.
Right. Instead of assuming like it was the year before where it was.
You can't, yeah.
Right or wrong, it's a double elimination tournament all the way through it. He was undefeated.
Yeah. You can't ever assume that.
Should have had to, right. You should have had to been beat twice. We all agree with that. But again, we don't know the TV contracts. We don't know, everything that was going on there. Like you said, the Fox thing, they decided that. Who knows this? But yeah, as a player, you're supposed to know the rules. I knew that if I got beat, I lost. Right. Move on. But again, everything's posted out online now in 04. It wasn't. We had MySpace.
Nobody talked about that on MySpace.
Everything wasn't out there in the world.
That's just my feeling on it, Rob. I get it. You have to know. That's just all there is to it. You just have to know.
So
guess what? He's leading again this week, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the format is and all that stuff. But whether it's him or anybody else, he goes from. Look what happened. Boog bowls 130 something, comes back and bowls his ass off, and gets through all that stuff, and he's on the show, runs the ladder, and he wins the Masters. That's incredible. To come back from facing adversity, to do what he did. It's incredible. EJ's doing the same thing this week. He can get to the show. Hopefully it's redemption for him and he wins. But he could lose again. That's a standard stepladder, same thing. But it wasn't double elimination. I get it. So you just keep going to the well, man. Keep doing it, keep fighting, keep working. That's all you can do.
Here's the issue I have, and I have nothing bad to say about EJ or his wife.
Right.
I had posted, Todd sent me that screenshot saying that EJ didn't know about it until after the tournament had started. I made a comment to somebody stating that, and somebody, because my post was not public, it was friends only. Somebody,
hold on. So he didn't know about the format when the tournament had started. How deep into the tournament before he learned that it was only going to be a single elimination regular stepladder? That's my question.
The day before.
Okay, so he knew then, and he could have lost the match that day and not been undefeated, right?
Right.
That's right.
So he was aware of it.
Yeah, he beat Eric Jones, I believe, in the night match before, and that's when he found out.
But he had to have knew before that, though. No?
That's what we understand. That's when he.
So he was undefeated. Then they tell him, "Hey, it's single elimination for TV." Right?
Yeah.
Is that or was it happen somewhere else? Another time. We don't know. Who knows?
So
we weren't there. Yeah.
Here's the issue. I had gotten that screenshot from what Natalie said I commented on it on one of my posts and said EJ didn't know about it. Somebody stooged me off to Natalie because my post was not public. She said
I can't see it, but
I'll read it out. She said EJ knew prior to the show, but he's also not the one commenting on it about, commenting on it about it. Jesus Christ, I can't even talk. He's not the one running his mouth. A lot of the fans were. And I said, look, I said, I'm in no way taking anything away from your husband. I said the hate towards Boog is ridiculous. I had heard from a friend that EJ didn't know about the change. Right. And then I posted her screenshot that I showed her saying EJ knew one day before. So her response was, yeah, EJ just made the assumption based on last year's format and didn't read the rules. So he found out yesterday after one of his matches. Oopsie, no bearing on what today.
Yeah. So again, was he being pulled in a million different directions and never been thought and just assumed? Obviously, that's the way it looked. So, good or bad, it's what's in front of you right there. He had one game to win, didn't go his way. And, it sucks. It really sucks.
Let's get into the hate on Boog. John Holworth said EJ blew it by opening frame 1 and 2. All his fault. Kroll was consistent for 4 games. I said Boog bowled his ass off from number 5 to win. He deserves it. Brian Fellow says, I wouldn't say he bowled his ass off. He bowled just well enough to win, which is what counts, but no way did he bowl his ass off. It's these couch
Well, you know what? Everybody's entitled to their opinion. They only see what they see from what they see on TV, and they have no idea what's going on through the week. Again, we hear it all the time. I hear it all the time. Well, that guy didn't do that on TV. What did he do during the week? He got there for a reason. You don't know what he did during the week unless you were there. You don't know how he played him, what he did, and how he threw it, and blah, blah, blah. So, hey, I've been on many shows where I got through it because I just stayed out of trouble and the other guy made mistakes. St. Louis in 91. I didn't bowl great, but those guys made mistakes. I capitalized on it. It happens. It's not, it's part of the sport. There's going to be other times where you bomb them and you lose. Ryan Schaefer, how many times he shoot 250 on TV and lose? He should have 20 titles, and it's like, it sucks.
No kidding.
The guy's been a phenomenal bowler for his entire career. And it's just, it's time and place, who you bowl, and what happens. And Boog kept it in play. He did what he was supposed to do. They were not easy.
Svensson Dean says, I think Kroll is the most unlikable bowler.
Well, then he does not know him.
See, I don't know him either, so I can't, I don't know him. I only see what I see on TV, and the one thing that aggravates me is when he's looking at his ball reps trying to get answers. I don't like that. That's just me personally. Do it on your own, figure it out on your own. I don't know how smart the guy is about the bowling thing. I don't know him, so I can't, I'm sure he's obviously made shots when needed to get there, to win matches, to do all the things he needed to do as a professional. And, he seems like a happy-go-lucky guy. That's the way he is. He's not, all over the map like Pete and some of the other guys, myself. Right. It's just, that's the way he is. But when needed, hey, you don't get there by not being able to make a shot when you need to and understand, that pressure, so-called pressure, which that's only what that is, how you bring it upon yourself, to be able to control your body and your emotions to do what you need to do. And, everybody handles it differently. And until you're in that position, you can't really speak about it.
Let's see. Next one. Absolutely ridiculous. He didn't need to beat Tackett twice. Just taints the whole Masters. So apparently the whole tournament.
Well, there you go again. That's again. This happened twice since 1980, right? It was always a standard step ladder format. So go back and look at your history. We'll go back to that. Go back and look at history.
Mark Zarica says this is the face of bowling. PBA won't be around. Marketing team will need to work overtime.
I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means because Boog won or because of the way the Masters was or because of the format or because, that was a USBC tournament handled by the PBA. I don't know how much influence the PBA has in that. I don't know. I'm not out there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that, back when we bowled it, it was ABC, the USBC, but the PBA controlled and ran everything. They had the TV rights and all this stuff. I don't know now. I have no idea. I mean, hopefully for bowlers' sakes and our sport that there is a viable PBA tour on TV, or else it's the whole industry's going to suffer.
Right. I bet he feels good throwing that plastic piece of garbage down the lane, blowing up the pattern. So he left a 10 pin in a single elimination match. So are you smart people at the USBC? Why would you ban urethane, which does the exact same thing to the lane? It's plastic, but you don't ban plastic.
I kept it in front of him, and that's what he had to do. And, plastic was going to track the oil off the end of the pattern and probably chew it up front, not like urethane would because the coefficient of friction is different, but he did have it sanded. But he kept it in play. He did what he had to do. Hey, there was many times where you didn't know, people don't know this, but, there was many shows where we would carve them up. Actually, I did it. I'm guilty of it. I had a show where there was 4 lefties on it in Grand Rapids. You don't think I took some surface out on the gutter? And then watch that show when I missed right what it did. I had free hook to the right because I developed it, by manipulating the lane. We did it back in the day. You just didn't know about it. And all he did was, you don't know in practice, he might have threw that plastic ball up 10, 11, something like that, and then got right of it and just got on top of it. He had hold. So what happens? If he misses left, which he did a couple of times, what did the ball do? It didn't go high, did it? Flat 10, or it struck. He might have developed that. You don't know what he did, and he might have done that. So when EJ came out, EJ gets it right down the lane too far, and it hangs. He leaves a 2-8. That's the mentality of it, and he still doesn't have enough hold to the left for the balls he was using. I don't know what that thinking. I mean, I'm just assuming, but he developed what he developed to keep it in play, and he capitalized on it. He didn't score much, he did. I mean, he did what he had to do.
Isn't that the nature of what you're doing when you're bowling match play, or you're trying to? I mean, when you said you're guilty of carving them up for yourself, why wouldn't you? I mean, when you go out.
Here's the other thing. Let's look at it this way. In 2005, I was defending champion. I, of course, was seeded. I think I won 2 matches. I bowled Walter Ray. Well, the gutter kind of played. It wasn't great, but you could manipulate it. We both carved the gutter up. I needed a double and a 10th. I threw the first one. I left a 4-pin on the second one. I shot 794.
Wow.
He had 806 or so, 802.
Yeah.
802. Because I needed it was 8, a small 8. And we carved the gutter up. I had the highest 3-game set and was in a loser's bracket. I think I won another match and I was out. Something like that. I might have won lose. So, and then the pair next to us, they're shooting 540 because they didn't manipulate it right. So there's Voss was a master at it. There was other guys that we knew how to do, and it's happened the whole time. It's just, is it right or wrong? There's no defense in bowling. You're bowling to 10 pins, but if you know tendencies and you can outsmart someone, by you can also can backfire on you too.
Sure.
So there's 2 ways about it.
I saw post after post around town here, even local events where people are complaining about urethane. It's like, hey, you're pulling a singles event. You do what you got to do to win your match.
Yeah.
Right. Noel Moore says horse bleep.
I see it. That same thing again. Go back to 1980 when it was on TV. It's been a standard top 5. Is it right? Is it wrong? It's a double elimination format. TV constraints. Keep TV something. It's the way it is.
Mike Rose is one of the worst bowlers I've ever seen on tour. Glad I don't watch bowling anymore on TV. I just see the highlights on who wins.
I know, Mike, if that's the right Mike Rose from Orlando. That's his opinion. Mike's he's an ABC or USBC Hall of Famer. If that's him, I don't know, might not be. Shouldn't say that, but I saw the Storm logo there. I know he's on Storm. So anyway, it's his opinion. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. Watch something else. You know, I like watching because I like studying it. I like seeing what's going on. I like analyzing and learning from it, you know, and good, bad, or indifferent. You know, everybody's different. You know, how many shows did he make?
Yeah.
Back in the day, because he bowled on tour a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know how many titles he got. I don't know. I mean, so be it. I don't know. I mean, that's just, that's my opinion. But you know, Mike's a good friend of mine. It's his opinion. We all have them.
John Mansour says, "Better to be lucky than good."
You gotta have both. You gotta have a little luck, but you gotta be good. Why you put me in this position here, buddy?
How many
Brooklyn State? Who cares?
No.
It's struck.
I mean, like, that was 2 years ago at the Delaware Classic. It's like you're still gonna be talking about Brooklyn Bug. Like, come on, man.
Who cares? I mean, again, if you were to bowl on that TV show and you think you could do something better than what happens there, put yourself in that position and do it. Throw it over the left gutter for a hit and see if, you don't grab it. If somebody grabs it, he goes, Brooklyn gets lucky. Who cares?
Exactly.
I mean, it's part of the nature of the game, period. They don't say nothing about it when he shot 850 on string pins that people say can't knock him over, right? I saw that.
Our final one and the winner, this will be our imbecile of the week for not knowing what brand EJ Tackett, the best bowler in the world, is. He says, Jeff Pittenger says it's a sad day in the neighborhood when Hammer beats Storm. EJ couldn't have possibly thrown a better ball. Congrats, Bug.
That's just being unknowledgeable and unaware of what's going on. So.
And it's also
EJ's been with Motive since the day he stepped foot on the approaches back when I first met him in 2014 at that regional. He's been Motive since Motive. Actually, I think that tournament, I beat Simonelli and I forget who else, but I think one of the first ones, if not the first, to win with a Motive ball.
Yeah.
That might have been 2000. I won that regional twice. It might have been 2012. I won that thing, and Motive, it just came out. They had like 4 balls in our line.
Yep.
TX something, SX something, I don't know. And and I won with their product, and I think I might have been the first.
Yeah.
I've talked to Scott about that. I've talked to Scott, and it's like, you might have been. I don't know.
Charlie Tapp's in the house. He says, Brooklyn's.
Oh, boy. Yeah, especially when you throw it over your toe and thumb down at their Tapster.
Whoops.
Chuck. That's my buddy Chuck Wheat. We go back a long ways.
He's one of the good guys.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
So, Jeff Pittenger, because you don't even know what brand that EJ Tackett, the best ball in the world, bowls for,
there you go.
Passive aggressive by saying it's a sad day when Hammer wins, but congrats, Bug. Jeff, you are the imbecile of the week. Wear it as a badge of honor and know that you are absolutely one of the dumbest people on the planet. God bless your heart, Jeff Pittenger. Danny, I appreciate your brother being here. Always good to talk to you. Danny sends me memes and stuff all the time that he doesn't post on Facebook. So
it's like the reason for that.
Yeah. He gets carelessly through my posts, but no, it's always good to see your smiling face. You got the same hair and the same little soul patch there. It's just a little.
It's gray.
But I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't change your look, man.
Yeah.
I got to say one thing, and Rob, if it wasn't for Danny being on a cruise about a month ago, I would not be here. Because I was a guest on Rob's show. I was a guest on Amanda's show first. Then Rob asked me to be on his show. And the next day he called me. He's like, man, I'm looking for a co-host or a new host, somebody to help take over the run here. Are you interested? And if it wasn't for you being on the cruise, I hope you had a great time.
Or else I'd be hosting and the show would be over.
And you might be it.
I would have wrecked it. No.
So thank you for
you're welcome.
A nice
vacation, Danny.
Yeah, it was 23rd to the 8th we went. So yeah, that would have been that week because I remember you asking me about it. I said, "Oh, dude, we're going to the Southern Caribbean. We're out of here."
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's neat that it worked out. Good for you. Good.
He asked me that and asked me to be on the show because you were on a cruise. And I said, Danny Wiseman, I'm getting bumped because of Danny Wiseman. I said, I don't even know who she is. And I think that's when he realized I should probably be one of the co-hosts on the show.
There you go. Good. That's glad. Good it worked out. Let me know about that bowling ball you got there down in the basement.
I am going to send you a picture as soon as we're done.
Yeah, that'd be neat. Hopefully it's a Ravage and it's 15 pounds. No?
Yeah, I'll check it out and see what it is.
All right, guys. Well, look, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Third time's a charm. Yeah, and Rob, I'll be in touch with you. You know that. And Todd, take care. You see Chief, tell him I said, hey,
I will do.
Keep rocking. I introduced him to the band, band Stained back in the day. He goes, I said, check this band Stained out. He was like, holy crap, man. That was way back, like 90. Well, let's see. He came out tour 90. Thunder. He was throwing Thunder. That would have been 98, I think, somewhere in there, 96, 7, or 8 when he came out. And that's when, because he's doing Thunder Roads and those, old Storm balls.
Yeah. Yep. I talk to Chief about every other day, so I'll make sure I say something to him.
So much today. All right, guys. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
good night. Thank you.
See you, man.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
I love Danny. He's such a good guy. He literally does send me stuff all the time, and we talk about politics and stuff and life, and just a good dude. I mean, I say it's all the time. We're just blessed with technology now to be able to talk with guys that we grew up watching on TV, and it's just it's such a cool thing. And I know you haven't been able to talk to everybody I've had on the show over the years, but I do plan on getting them on again, so you can talk. We've had Amleto, we've had Schaefer on a bunch of times. We had John Mazza. I love listening to, I don't want to say the old guys, but I love listening to the previous generation of bowlers give their insight because like we said earlier, those are the guys that paved the way for the guys you see today. And one reason why I love this show is because I try to keep that history alive, and I try to keep those guys on and somewhat relevant, and just sitting there under the learning tree, learning so much.
When he makes the comments earlier in the show about not being relevant anymore, as far as I'm concerned, he is. But I wish he didn't think he was irrelevant. That guy is still something else.
He is. He was a trendsetter back in the day. He had such a cool look. He was such a powerful bowler, and 12 titles. I mean, and one of them being a major, numerous regional titles. That's why he's a PBA Hall of Famer, and to do it in that short of a time. During the transition period, like you said, when he started in 90, it was still wood and urethane, but he still had success. A few years later, when it went to synthetic and it went to resin, and he learned to adapt, and he was still winning titles, and I don't think he gives himself enough credit for being that great of a bowler. But I love his mentality of I'm bowling against the pins. I don't care if it's Pete, Parker, Norm, whoever. I'm just going to bowl my game, and like we saw in the video, just kept his head down against PA. Didn't even know where he was in the match. Just knew, he had the first 9. So
he knew he was still throwing strikes, and he started getting a little amped up for his own game, not worried about what was going on, around him. He was bowling his game, bowling against the pins.
Yeah, and you don't hear that from a lot of guys. It's just that's a unique way to look at the sport, and just bowl your game, and that way you don't get psyched out. It's like, oh Christ, I gotta play against Pete, I gotta play against Norm and Parker and Walter. It's like, man, I don't know if I'm a competitive guy, but I don't know if I could have that kind of mindset. But that's what the best do.
If you could still look past that, right?
Yeah.
So are we gonna show off the shirts on the show here?
Absolutely.
Would you like me to hold it up on the Lainey was she wanted to make sure that we showed it on the show.
Yes. Well, she's such a smart kid.
You can see it's a Bolify branded t-shirt, of course. And here we are with the merch is now out and available.
Oh, that is so clean. I love it, dude. That looks fantastic. Even with your face on it.
Even with my face on it, right. So we have the option to I'm going to get a link Rob, and I'm going to have it sent to you so you can have it on your page.
Sure.
And it could be something for people to be able to purchase straight through your Bolify link. And they'll have options of all different colors if they want 100% cotton. I've actually got a jersey. I thought that was maybe here, but maybe that'll come on the next order. The jersey's pretty tight. I will tell you that. But the T-shirts, you can get several different colors. You can change the color of the logo on it. You can change the color where it says Straight Up 5. But we're going to get the link, make sure it's on your page, and get you going with some Bolify sales.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. We'll definitely do that. I'm not lazy. I'm just distracted. I haven't started my sub story yet. But I'm going to do that as soon as we get off here.
Well, you do 74 shows a week, so I get it.
The noggin doesn't work like it used to, unfortunately.
Yeah, completely.
In all honesty, I'm not making excuses, but even just being type 2 diabetic, I forget shit all. Like I get foggy brain all the time, dude. It's like, besides getting older, I'll be 50 in a few months, but yeah, we're definitely gonna get it launched up. I'll have my sub store on Bolify website, where you guys can get the official shirt for the show. Our first actual merch. I know we kind of try to, let's say JP tried a half-hearted attempt a couple of years ago and didn't work out well. But yeah, no, that came out really clean. I like the way they came out. So that's hopefully it'll be a good seller for us. And jerseys and all that. Clifton Don says we need a shirt with Rat Rob in the front and Popeyes on the back.
Well, you love that chicken from Popeyes.
I do, and I don't know if
I do.
I do. Good call, brother. We got to get old Kyle back on the show too. I know he's a Bolify guy as well. So again, thanks to Danny
Wiseman.
Why? It's funny. Chris Schenkel actually used to call him Wise Man, like Danny Wiseman. I'm like, it's Wiseman. But Schenkel was the voice of God, and I would never argue with him anyway. But thanks to Danny.
He was allowed to call him that. It was okay.
Dude, man, you want to talk about the voice of my childhood.
I do.
Not Kyle, but Chris Schenkel. That's what I do for you, brother. Thanks to Danny Wiseman for coming on tonight and watching his match against PA from the ABC Masters in 2004 from Miller Park in Milwaukee. Next week, I don't want to announce it yet, but I should have the guys from Custom Thumbs Pro Shop out of Maple Lanes in Rockville Center, New York. We just had them on Amanda's show, and they are two amazing characters. Philly Bosco, John Canigliari, super, super nice guys. And their custom grips that they're coming out with are going to change the game. They are different finger grips than I've ever seen before. And John is Joey. Jesus Christ, I call him John. He's going to kill me. He's going to. They're two Sicilians from Brooklyn. They're probably going to give me a pair of cement shoes and throw me in the fucking river. But Jesus, dude, I'm getting old. I'm telling you. Joey C in Philly Bosco from Custom Thumbs Pro Shop. But Joey is a absolute mad chemist when it comes to creating thumb slugs or finger grips, and they're going to come on and talk about their products. And man, you want to talk about two guys that are just salt of the earth and do an amazing job at their pro shop. And Maple Lanes obviously is a very well-known center around the world. So we should have those guys on next Wednesday night. So Todd, I appreciate it as always, brother. It was a good show. You did really good asking questions, man. That's why I wanted to kind of give you the reins to just kind of get your feet under you and get into a rhythm of, because eventually I'd like you to take more over the show so I can stop talking, because I'm tired of talking, bro. I want you to
giving me the chance to kind of lead the reins tonight. So
we'll get used to it, because I'm going to lean on you a lot, because like I said, I'm tired of doing this shit every week. No, I'm just kidding. But I am going to lean on you a lot more to get you well seasoned as a featured host. So
okay,
yeah, careful, they're going to cut off your bowling fingers. Forget about it. We should have Joey and Philly on next week. So, all right, guys, I am done talking. We'll see you next week for another edition of Straight Up 5. Good night, everybody. Appreciate y'all.
Bye-bye.
Take care. See you guys.
Thanks for watching Straight Up 5 with Todd McGill. You can follow the show on X at Straight Up 5 Pod. You can follow Todd on X at TMT Bowling. And you can follow Rad Rob on X at Rad Rob Entertainment. Follow the show on Instagram and TikTok at Straight Up 5 Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. You can email us with comments, questions, or suggestions at straightup5podcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5 with Todd McGill, right here on the